Good morning, cruises. It has been a while. I guess I was waiting to have something exciting. I went to go see a show, or I finally saw a concert. None of that's happened. Um, so, yeah, it's been several weeks now that we have been on lockdown, just like y'all back home. So the timeline here was a little bit different. Back on March the 12th, we went home from work. We got sent home from work because our network actually went down, and it had been down for most of the day, and it was supposed to be coming back up by the end of the day. But also around that time, it was obvious that something was happening with coronavirus, with COVID-19. Nobody was really sure exactly uh, how long or what it meant or anything like that. But it was definitely going to be something that we all had to think about, right? So the boss says, well, why don't we just go home and we'll telework tomorrow and all of next week. So it was, we were going to telework on Friday and then the whole of the next week. And during that time frame, we had like just before that, actually, a guy had been staying home from work because he was sick, but wasn't really sure exactly how long that had been or what it was. Turns out, yeah, he absolutely, he and his wife both had, um, but they both tested positive later. But at the time, it was just, yeah, somebody in the office is sick, and maybe somebody else in the office is not feeling great, but let's just go home for a week. And so we were home that Friday, and then all of next week. And during that all of next week is when we found out that our coworker had tested positive, that another person who works in the building had a very serious fever for several days, and then so the boss extended it for another week beyond that, and then on March 23rd, my birthday, um, there was an announcement by the prime minister, and that announcement was stay home for 3 weeks. Everyone, uh, everywhere in the United Kingdom should stay home for 3 weeks, if at all possible. And we'd already proved that it was possible for us, our team. We'd been teleworking for a week at that point, well, like a week and a day or whatever it was. And so, all right, fine. Um, uh, it's now May. I mean, 8 weeks, 8+ weeks. Um, Theater district is shut down. You can't really leave the country unless you have a really good reason. I mean, like, actually, theoretically, I could go home if I really wanted to. I could go back to the United States, but I don't have a place to live in the United States, so it doesn't make any sense for me to do that. But as a U.S. citizen, I do have the right to travel home if I wanted to. Um, so I'm here in the flat. Some things are going well, right? Let's be honest. I'm still doing laundry and dishes. I've been cooking a lot, which is good. Normally, I do like a big slow cooker or um, or something like that, and or just a big dish that can last me several days. And I put it in pint-sized containers and stash some in the fridge and some in the freezer. Um, but also, I realized at some point in the last 2 months that that meant that I wasn't cooking during the week, and so I had more time to cook, and I hadn't been cooking. So I've been trying to mix it up a little bit more, make some other stuff midweek. Um, yeah. Um, Other things haven't been going as smoothly. I still have not actually. I wear a different group of hats for every season. Uh, it is solidly spring now here. I have not put away the winter hats and put up the spring hats because now most of the time when I leave the house, I put on a baseball cap um, and a mask and gloves. Normally a hooded sweatshirt so that I'm covered. Um, Everything here is closed except the grocery stores and the pharmacies. There are so few restaurants open that we share news of restaurants that are open with each other on like neighborhood groups and WhatsApp. Like, hey, did you guys know this Italian place is still doing delivery? It's like, oh my God, thank you. And you order it, and it's like, this was too expensive for delivery because they're kind of a fancy place and they didn't change their prices. I just paid £6.50 for a dessert. But it's good. I mean, like, I'm glad we're doing it. Other times it's like, oh, I only paid like £4 for these pupusas and they were fucking amazing. So that's great. I mean, um, it's been a mix, right? Um, but you guys probably remember I was never much for delivery anyway. I like going out and doing. And goodness, there's been a lot less going out and doing. There's been a lot less going out and doing stuff. It's been really tough and really challenging, and that's kind of why I'm talking about it because you gotta talk about it. Otherwise, it just sort of rolls week in the next week in the next week. Um, so I'm kind of letting this grow, as you can see. There's the reason why I started cutting it back because like all of this comes in as super gray. Also, this is getting to a kind of wild and craziness stage. If it gets too much longer, it might actually lay down flat. But right now, it's just all poofiness. Even if you kind of pull it back, it springs back and goes up. Yeah. I spent a lot of March coughing. A lot. I now wonder if I ever get to take the antibodies test if I had something, or if I just had a really bad cough for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I never had a fever. I had to go and buy a thermometer. The only thermometer I could find, like as things were getting crazy and like fever pitched, not to use yeah, but as things were getting a little wild here and people were like clearing the shelves off of everything, I managed to find a infant thermometer and it works great. It's in Celsius, which is a challenge, but fortunately, it also has a little graphic with a smiley face or a sad face, so you don't have to know Celsius. You just put it on your tongue, and after a while, it beeps, and you pull it out, and it tells you the temperature in Celsius. But then it also has a smiley face next to it, so it's like, or and I tested it because I put it in like cold water so that it would give me the sad face. Or did I put it in hot water? So yeah, I think I put it in hot water. So it would be over. It would give me the sad face just to test it. But yeah, it has been months. It has been like give or take. It has been 2 months home now. I've gone into the office a few times to get mail or have some updates get pushed through on the network, or to do a video conference because my network speed here at home was not sufficient for the video conference software that I wanted to use for the job. Most of the commercially available stuff is fine. I mean, my network here is a whole nother video, but not terrible. Anytime I've gone to the office, it's definitely again been mask, gloves, hood up. Don't touch anything if you don't have to. And the train has been empty. Me and one other person. in the car. I mean, like the train is like three cars, and so maybe there's a half a dozen people total in the whole train. Um, though on at least one occasion, I went and the boss and I were literally the only people that got on the train. I think that day it was pretty funny. Um, so yeah, it's been a real challenge. I'm very grateful for the opportunities I've had to talk to people. Uh, John, the head porter, always makes a point to wave, say hi whenever he sees me, says my name. Go over to a friend's house and share a little takeout if we can, sneak away. Um, and I try to go for walks. I go out into the park. I went out yesterday down into Hyde Park because it was in the low 70s and it was one of the greatest, most beautiful days outside you could possibly imagine. It was just gorgeous. It's a little cooler today. I'll probably still go out for a walk today. Um, it's hard here. How is it there? How you doing? How you holding it together? Hopefully you're doing all right. I check in with a lot of you individually, but I figured I hadn't done a video in a long time. So here I am, scraggly beard, big hair, and a little lost and lonely, but not bad. Holding it together. Looking forward to when it all gets released. Um, the Prime Minister's back now. Oh, yeah, in the interval, the Prime Minister went into hospital, was on a ventilator, and they like prepared his "What if he dies" speech for like his deputies to have to read. Like it got that bad here. Um, uh, Once I went to the grocery store and the entire coffee section was empty. Another time I went to the grocery store and the entire like the dishwashing detergents gone. Most of the time now when you go to the grocery store, the only section that's really like beat up is flour, yeast, anything that has to do with like baking. Because I think, as I've heard both in the States and here, everybody has taken up baking in a pretty big way. I made biscuits. You don't need yeast for biscuits. Um, they weren't great. I mean, I tried really hard, but they weren't great. Probably needed more butter cut up into them, I think. I think I was stingy on the butter. Um, so, yeah, it's the Prime Minister is supposed to give another speech today, kind of letting us know. It's believed that this will be the beginning of phase two, whatever that means. I don't think the United Kingdom has a specific like 5 phase plan that's been spelled out, or at least not one that's public. But yeah, it seems like we are getting ready to possibly begin phase two, whatever that should mean. Um, I'm guessing it still means we stay home. It might mean some other businesses are allowed to open back up. There has been a lot of talk about garden centers opening back up. Yeah. Um, I also know that I'm very blessed to live where I do in the city. The fact is, the two really big parks close to me are royal parks, and they have been open. And my local council has kept all, as far as I know, of the public parks in my council open. Um, they've asked for separation and everything like that, but they're still open. In some of the other councils and boroughs and whatnot in the city and in the country, is what I've heard. People they've just shut down the parks because they can't afford to keep them open. And so, if you are a person who lives in a situation like I do, where I don't have a garden, I don't know, which is what they call a yard. What we call a yard, any kind of yard, backyard, front yard, whatever, they just call the garden. Even if the garden is paved slabs and a barbecue pit, it's still the garden. Um, I don't have anything like that. I have no outdoor space. I have no patio front porch, back porch, backyard, garden. But I have a ton of public green space that I can go to, and people in other parts of the city do not have that. So I'm very aware of my privilege to have a place to go outside and walk. I have several grocery stores near me that I can walk to. The little ones that are not particularly good about social distancing, and the locally owned mom and pops that are wonderful about that. And the huge ones that are like if you want to do a big multi-day shop where you can go, but you will have to wait in line for like 20 minutes or more to get inside. Um, but you know the butcher is open, and the cheese shop is open, and the grocery stores are open. Uh, Almost all of the restaurants are closed. Almost all of anything else is closed. The DIY shops, which is what they call hardware stores, they're closed for the most part. But Amazon still delivers. You can get stuff here through Amazon, but you can't just pop down to a restaurant, and you can't just go to the hardware store and pick up some nails or whatever. They actually had to like clarify some rules. It was like, hey, is the fencing of your garden broken, and you know animals can get in and out? Yes, that is an exceptional. You are allowed to go to the DIY store, get hammer, nails, wood, whatever, fix your fencing. Do you want to repaint your living room because you're tired of sitting in white walls? No, that was not acceptable. You're not allowed to do that. Um, for a while, you were not allowed to even hang out in the royal parks. Like you could jog through them, but if you sat down on the grass, the police came up and hassled you to move along. I don't want to say hassle in the way that like U.S. police hassle. I mean, it's a very polite UK police hassling, but um, still, it was you weren't allowed to sit, you weren't allowed to relax. This, but now they've kind of relaxed that. It's like, hey, you want to go to the park and hang out, get some sun, fine, just so long as you are 2 meters apart from everywhere else. Um, I still don't know how long a meter is. I'm very glad that when it's like, oh, 6 feet. I know how far apart 6 feet is. I can do that. So in my head, 6 feet equals exactly 2 meters. I know that's wrong, but I'm not going to do the formula. So 6 feet, 2 meters. I can do that. It's that far away right there. Uh, this is a particularly rambly one, and I'm sorry about that. I should probably do some editing, but instead, I'm just gonna let this stand for what it is. I'm a little stir crazy. I'm a little stuck inside. I miss you all very much, and I can't wait to see you when all of this is over. Stay home, stay healthy, stay safe. Love you guys.